Mama, I need to say something to you.
What is it, my daughter?
This house is getting too small for all of us. Chidera and I need our space. You understand that?
I helped my son. Bills are different now.
I have spoken to Chidera already. We think it is better if you go somewhere more suitable. Your sister's place, maybe.
Chidera agreed to this.
The driver will take you tomorrow morning. I have already packed some of your things.
She had not eaten in 3 days when she finally sold her last wrapper to buy him food. Not 3 hours, 3 days. Mama Chidera had wrapped her hunger in silence, the way she wrapped everything, tightly, without letting it show. Her son was 4 years old and running a fever, and the only thing she had left in that single room in the town of Ogwashi was one wrapper, a kerosene stove, and the specific determination of a woman who has decided that her child will not feel what she is feeling. She had sold the wrapper for a price that was not fair, and she had known it was not fair, and she had taken the money anyway, because Chidera needed to eat before the sun went down. She had raised him in that room, then in a slightly bigger room, then in a small flat when the provisions business she ran from a wooden table outside the compound finally began to breathe. She had not remarried after his father left when Chidera was 2 years old, not because there were no men, but because there was no time. Every hour not spent working was spent on Chidera. His school fees, his uniforms, his textbooks bought second-hand and covered in brown paper so they looked new. His meals always complete, even on the days hers were not. She had clapped the loudest at her secondary school graduation. When Chidera gained admission to study engineering, she sold her provisions table and used the money as her first semester deposit. She went back to hawking on the road for 3 months to cover her own rent while he settled in. She never told him about those 3 months. Some things a mother carries alone, because the alternative is making her child feel like a burden, and that was something she was never going to do. Chidera graduated, found work in the city of Imoru, rose quickly, built a house in a quiet part of town, 4 bedrooms, a compound with a gate, a kitchen larger than any room Mama Chidera had ever lived in. He drove to Ogwashi himself to bring her to the new house. She sat in the passenger seat the whole journey with her hands folded in her lap and her heart so full she could not find a single word to put in it. She planted a small garden at the back. She cooked every morning. She kept the house with the quiet pride of a woman who knows that a clean home is a form of love. For 1 full year, she felt completely at peace. Ngozi arrived in Chidera's 4th year in Imoru, beautiful, polished, the daughter of a civil servant family from the city. Chidera brought her home on a Sunday, and Mama Chidera made her best soup and welcomed her with the full warmth of a woman who wanted her son happy more than anything else. Ngozi smiled at everything, helped clear the plates, called her Mama. Mama Chidera had gone to bed that Sunday night feeling something sweet and complete. The wedding was 6 months later, beautiful and full. Mama Chidera danced until her feet hurt and looked across the hall at her son laughing with her new wife and felt the satisfaction of a woman who has finished a long, difficult job and done it well. But Ngozi had begun changing the house the week after the honeymoon. The sitting room furniture, the curtains, the kitchen reorganized so Mama Chidera could no longer find anything without asking. Then the comments, delivered softly, about how her cooking was too heavy for Chidera's diet, how her early morning prayers disturbed their sleep, how her garden made the compound look untidy. Each comment alone was small. Together, they were a wall being built, one careful brick at a time. Chidera said nothing. He came home tired and kissed his mother's cheek on weekends and did not notice the distance being built around her. When she tried to speak to him, he would say, "Mama, she's still adjusting. Give her time." Then he would change the subject. Every time. The evening Ngozi told her she was being sent away, Mama Chidera sat in that kitchen for a long time after the footsteps disappeared. She looked at the food she had cooked and not been invited to eat. She looked at her own hands on the cable. The same hands that sold a wrapper for an unfair price so a 4-year-old could eat. The same hands that covered second-hand textbooks in brown paper. The same hands that hawked on the road for 3 months and never said one word about it to anyone. She did not cry. She simply sat with the full weight of it and let it settle. Chidera came home to a mother already in her room with the door closed. Ngozi told him casually that she had spoken to Mama and everything was arranged. He went to his mother's door, stood outside for a long time, did not knock, went to his bedroom, did not sleep. At 2 in the morning, he got up and went to the kitchen. The pot of soup was still on the stove, still warm, made with the specific care of a woman who has been cooking for someone she loves so long it has become indistinguishable from breathing. He stood at that stove and thought about a single room in Ogwashi, a wrapper sold for an unfair price, a woman who went without food for 3 days and smiled every morning so he would not know. Brown paper on second-hand textbooks, a photograph outside a school gate kept in a small frame for 20 years. He walked to his mother's door. He knocked. She opened it. She was not asleep. He looked at her face in the dim light. He said, "Mama, I am sorry." His voice broke on the second word. She opened the door wider, and he sat on the edge of her bed the way he used to when he was small, and she put her hand on his back, and they sat in the dark together without speaking. In the morning, he spoke to Ngozi quietly and without anger. He said, "My mother stays. This house exists because she exists. If that is something you cannot accept, then we have a very different conversation to have." Something in his face told her the man she thought she had redirected had found his way back and was not moving again. Mama Chidera planted new things in her garden that Saturday. Ngozi came to the back door, watched for a moment, then went inside and returned with a cup of tea, which she placed beside where her mother-in-law was kneeling in the soil. She said nothing. Mama Chidera looked at the cup, then she looked up. Then she said, "Thank you, my daughter," and went back to her planting. It was not a perfect ending, but it was a true one. The kind that comes when his son finally remembers that the first person who ever went without so he could have was not his wife. And the kind that comes when a woman who carried everything alone for so long finally has someone stand up beside her. Some women give their whole lives to their children and ask for nothing in return. And some children forget that completely, until the night they find a pot of soup still warm on a cold stove and finally understand what love looks like when it has no audience and nobody watching at all. Was Chidera wrong for staying silent for so long, or was he simply a man caught between 2 people he loved? Drop your answer below. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs it today. And drop a comment. We want to hear from you. God bless you.